Do you ever feel torn between your light and dark sides? See things as just right or wrong? Judge yourself for being too good or too bad? What if there were a way to balance the scales and embrace both your light and shadow sides? Join me on a journey of exploring our shadows and the role shadow work can play in healing from trauma. I often explain to my clients that therapy can be a form of shadow work, in that it is a process of bringing the contents of the unconscious mind to the conscious mind in order to heal unresolved trauma. See, when we experience trauma, we sometimes push back into our unconscious mind those aspects of ourselves we don't want to face and would prefer stay in the dark for nobody to see. Sometimes the pain of facing our own demons is so great that some of us decide we can't, won't, or don't want to face them and instead numb ourselves out from feeling them. But not tending to our shadow can lead to consequences like violence, depression, substance or process addiction, self-sabotage, self-harm, or in worst case scenarios, giving up on life altogether. But we don't need to be afraid of our shadows. They're still a part of us, and just parts that need a little bit more light and love. We need to learn to identify, see, and acknowledge them, and let them come up for healing in safe, contained ways. Once we do, they're more manageable and don't have to define us anymore. See, for our trauma healing work to run its course, come full circle, and return us to a state of wholeness, it must include our light as well as our darkness. Unprocessed traumatic experiences can show up as toxic, codependent relationship patterns, acting out in immature ways, engaging in other impulsive or even dangerous behaviors. So if we're not conscious of them, our childhood power dynamics can repeat themselves in our present adult relationships in a form of trauma repetition compulsion. You know, like when you find the same person over and over again in different relationships, all in an attempt to heal those old wounds. This is part of why delving into our trauma healing work can impact our spiritual path and our understanding of the universe, life, and existence. When we're younger and experience trauma, but don't have the capacity or the support at the time to really process it, we can unintentionally create a shadow part of ourselves in our unconscious mind in order to cope. And we are usually too young to consciously realize that we are tucking away this part of our trauma in the backs of our minds, and unfortunately usually storing it in our bodies too. Later in life, when we're adults, it can feel scary and overwhelming when our shadows rear their ugly heads. But it's not a bad thing these old toxic relationship patterns are coming up. Why? Because it means we're finally safe enough or have the developmental skills or life experience to reopen those old trauma wounds and finally tackle our shadows. I often tell my clients that working with our shadows of past trauma is like laying it all out on the table where we can see them and work with them, not hidden in dark crevices anymore, but out there, open and exposed. Then, usually with the help of a licensed therapist, trusted healer, or other spiritual guide, we can start to let our shadow selves out, little by little. In this process of deep trauma work, which, by the way, can take months, years, or even decades, we look at, understand, and help heal these traumatized little bits of ourselves so that we can reintegrate these shadow parts back into our conscious working minds and our adult state of being. Throughout ancient times and various cultures, shamans, medicine people, and healers have performed soul retrieval rituals in which they'd assist individuals in calling back all these parts of their souls that they had cast off during unbearable moments of trauma. These splintered off parts of our personality are like pieces of a puzzle. When brought back together, the image is revealed and we can see a bigger picture of our lives, like our mission and purpose in life, for example. But remember that healing happens on its own timetable. We have to be ready to reintegrate all these shadow sides. And this state of readiness can't be forced or speeded up. It happens when it happens, and it usually happens as a result of long-term healing work. Many of our subscribers have told us they've enjoyed our videos so much they've shared them with their family, friends, and others. And we love to hear that kind of feedback. To help us generate more content like this, please like and subscribe to our channel. Also, what's your favorite way to do shadow work? Journaling, ritual, therapy? Let me know in the comments below. And whatever you do, remember, there's always hope for healing.